All right, we're live on Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy. Those who don't know, I'm Teddy Burriss, my partner, sidekick, partner in crime. I don't know if that's the right words. Yeah, Randy Wooden. Thank you for joining us for our day before Thanksgiving show. Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy is sponsored in part by the Elder Law Firm out of Greensboro, North Carolina. If you've got family or friends that are looking at elder care planning, estate planning, putting together those 7 documents that are uberly important, you need to reach out to the Elder Law Firm in Greensboro, North Carolina, elderlawfirm.com. Let them know that Randy Wooden told you to give them a call.
Nice. Yeah. Teddy, who are you and what are you doing over there? You're in a different setting today, aren't you?
I am, and I wasn't sure on the screen, was I? So sorry it happened. Yeah, man, I traveled to Maryland. Long trip Tuesday from North Carolina to Maryland. Randy, I almost drove as fast as you told me about this. I think we're going to talk about it on Monday. I almost drove as fast as that Ohio race, man.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it anymore. You got to show up on the Monday show and watch our Monday show to see what we're talking about with the Ohio race. So, hey, dude, introduce yourself to the audience, man.
Yeah. Teddy, have you introduced yourself yet? That's the question.
Yeah. So those who've never met me, I'm Teddy Burriss. I think it says it. Yeah, it does say it on the screen. I run a business called Burriss Consulting. We teach LinkedIn as a sales tool. We teach LinkedIn as a business tool, teach Google Workspace. Love to do the work we do, helping people learn these tools. But every week, Randy and I get together and, man, we just like to have some fun and bring some really good conversations. And I'll introduce you to our special guest, Melissa Winstead, in a few minutes. But Randy, who the heck are you?
And what am I doing here? Yeah, so today's my Friday because I'm off tomorrow and Friday. So it's not only hump day, but it's Friday all in one. So yay for that, right? Love it. Hey, Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. I run our professional center based out of Winstead, but have clients across the Triad, actually across the country, and always happy to try to help you if you're in a job search, you're professional, or maybe you know somebody who's thinking about, all right, first of the year, I'm going to get a new job, whatever. We work by appointment. We're free. Always happy to help. Again, Randy with Goodwill here in Winston-Salem. By the way, if you are watching us and you have comments or questions for today's, we're going to have a lot of fun, going to learn some cool stuff, and I'll turn it back to Teddy in a second. But if you have comments or questions for Melissa or for us, or you just want to razz us about, Teddy's attire, because last week, I will say we were very dressed up last week. I think we were.
I had clean socks on too, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, we really dressed up, but we're sliding into the holidays, so we just kind of slack off a little bit, whatever. But if you have comments, questions, put them in the chat. And one of Scott, I think you asked about what the Monday show is. Yeah, we record a show, kind of, sort of. Do we record it? Sometimes we do it live, but it's on a Monday, and basically it's just about 15 minutes worth of around noontime. It runs, and we talk about our upcoming guests and some tips and interesting trivia. So there's that, Teddy. I'll throw it back to you.
All right, man. So Melissa Winstead, look, this show is all about how do you make your Thanksgiving enjoyable if you're responsible for making the bird, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, the homemade cranberry, the rhubarb, Melissa, not for me, and the apple pie and the cherry pie and all that stuff. How do you put all that stuff together but still have a good time? And so I decided to invite Melissa Winstead to have a conversation with us. Melissa is a transplant into North Carolina, but she's also a experienced cook. She's a personal cook, personal chef. She goes into people's homes, goes to catering events, and she helps you make your event happen. Melissa, thank you for joining us. Would you introduce yourself to the audience a little better than I did?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. My name's Melissa Winstead. I am a transplant as of 6 months ago from California to North Carolina. Big adjustment, but we're really loving it. And I've been a chef professionally for about 15 years now. And I'm excited to bring what I have to offer here to the lovely people of the Triad. It took me a while to learn what the Triad was. I was like, I'm into Greensboro. What is everyone talking about? What is a triad? So now I know.
And by the way, Melissa, we don't answer all the questions that show up in chat.
Oh, okay.
Well, some of them we might answer, but some of our audience sometimes be a little skewed, but maybe we'll answer Dale's question in a little.
We might. So yeah. So welcome to the triad, and this is now the pinnacle of your career. I don't know whether you knew that or not, but I mean, you have stepped into the pinnacle of your career, or stepped on it, or in it. Could be both.
Fell into it.
Yeah.
So let's get her started, huh?
Cool beans. So Melissa, thank you. I mean, really want to give folks some ideas of how to make this dinner, how to make all of the food happen, but still have fun doing it. So share with us what are big picture, how do you make the preparation of this dinner? How do you make it enjoyable doing all this work?
Yeah, so I think first, I know we're kind of coming in at the 11th hour, right? Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so maybe everything I'm going to say isn't going to be so applicable to your day tomorrow because it's already planned out and it's going to be what it's going to be. But essentially, you could think about this as a plan for every holiday or anytime you're hosting people. And I think it is really important to know what you can prep in advance. Certain things that can be frozen, can be made a week ahead and left in the fridge, can be marinated, etc. And also what can be delegated out. If you love making pies, great, make pies. But if you don't, find a great local bakery, support a local business, grab it from Costco if that's your favorite pie spot. I feel like the pressure to do everything from scratch or everything yourself is just robbing you of the joy of what the holiday is supposed to be. You're supposed to also be able to enjoy your own holiday event, party, whatever you want to call it. And for me as a caterer, I apply, prepping things in advance is rule number one. Yeah. I don't show up at anyone's house with completely raw ingredients to do everything from start, unless that's a specific thing that, I'm doing a cooking lesson and they want to see what it is from start to finish. But I'm coming with everything 70 to 90% done so that it isn't super stressful on me. I don't want to be the stressed out chef, even in your kitchen when you hired me, because I don't want to bring that energy. I want to also enjoy what I do and how I serve it. And so I think people often wait to the last minute for a lot of things because they think they have to, but use your freezer, use your free time a month in advance and get some stuff done.
I got it. Melissa, I'm 100% with you. I bring all the stuff to the kitchen pretty much ready. I got a team of people who help me make that happen. And they're Randy, you may know these guys. They're Harris Teeter, Food Lion, and Costco.
Hey, I gotta ask you, as I always ask each of our guests, the why question. Yeah. And I can just picture you as a little kid with a little tiny apron on and following your mom or your dad around the kitchen. And so help us understand the why.
Yeah, that was you.
What was that now?
That was you with the apron on following your mom.
Anyway, I won't go there. But this, I always ask the why question. I mean, to do what you do and been doing it for so long, you got to have a passion for it. And so help us understand what brought you to that point.
Yeah, I really do. I feel like ever since I was little, I certainly kind of appreciated the magic of food and cooking. And my mom was a great cook. She wasn't a great baker. So I had my easy bake oven. I followed the instruction, learned to do some baking. If I wanted fresh homemade cookies, I had to figure that out myself. And the more I did it and shared it with other people and saw the sort of joy it brought them and then felt that joy in myself, that's really what started to propel me forward. And I hosted lots of potlucks and fun parties through high school with my group of friends and my sports teams. And that whole act of coming together around a meal was just so special and fun and collaborative, because sometimes it would be a potluck and everyone would help out. People would clear, do dishes, all that stuff. And when I went to college, I actually went to college to become a teacher, but did an internship in a classroom and realized teaching wasn't for me. And through college, of course, with independence, having to live on my own, I'm really responsible for all of my own cooking. I just loved it. I would go to the market and they'd have fresh whole live crabs. And I was like, well, I don't know how to cook these, but I'm going to figure it out. And I would host like a crab party, and everyone, would be smashing crabs at our college apartment. And that's what really, the more that I sort of dove into that and felt like I was thriving at it, I was like, I need to go to culinary school. That's what I want to do next. And yeah, so after college, I went to culinary school in San Francisco, and I knew from day one that I didn't want to work in restaurants. That wasn't for me. I like people. A lot of restaurant chefs, like, they want to be in the back of the house. They're not necessarily wanting to have an intimate experience with the diners, but I'm a people person. So I love being in people's homes and being able to help them celebrate something special while also taking the stress of that off their plate. And so that's kind of my why is,
that's interesting too. And I never really thought about the difference between a chef at a restaurant and what you mean. You're both preparing food, and it's being served, but it's the engagement with the customer that I guess for you really helps drive the passion for your end of the business versus maybe a chef. I never really gave that any thought, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Teddy?
Yeah. And listen, I love and have so much respect for restaurant chefs. I love eating out at restaurants. I'm so grateful for them. But I also I knew that wasn't the right chef path for me. And so, yeah, it's really fun for me to get to have that more intimate experience with people and really personalize menus for them, for what they like, whether that's a dietary restriction, or I catered a party for someone who wanted to celebrate an anniversary of I think they took their honeymoon in like Croatia, and they wanted me to do a Croatian menu. And I was like, well, I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to figure it out. So I did a Croatian menu, and like, they knew I wasn't a Croatian chef, but it was like a fun experience overall to do that with them.
Yeah.
Real cool. So one of the things that makes the holidays more enjoyable is when you participate together. And you and I, our conversations, we talked about assigning roles.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of roles to do a Thanksgiving or any holiday dinner. I mean, not only is there different roles for making the food, but there's also somebody's got to set the table, somebody's got to do the dishes, somebody's got to be in charge. If you got a big group, somebody's got to be in charge of traffic control.
Sure.
Get people past the food. How do you do this in a good size event?
Yeah. So again, it's that thing of delegating, really, like assigning out. Also, know your family, your friends who are coming, try to know their strengths and what they're good at. If someone is like really not good at cooking, ask them to bring wine. Like, maybe they're great with flowers, have them bring flowers. And, I think it also makes everyone feel like they've contributed and have something to sort of be proud of for that day too. And yeah, like in my house, my husband knows that his job is dishes, making sure the trash and recycling are empty, and keeping the dog out of the kitchen, and getting your kids involved too. They can make fun, personalized placemats, name cards for people, things like that. I think there's a lot that can be sort of spread out so that the person who's doing the bulk of the cooking can do that in an enjoyable way while not having to worry about all the other things.
Yeah. I remember one year, Randy, we assigned different roles to people. Right. My mother-in-law got the task of tapping the keg. Everybody's involved, man.
Yeah, well, I have, you don't know this, but I have some mad skills with a remote. I mean, I can have a beer in one hand and a remote in the other hand. And, I can be watching two games at the same time. And my strength really just staying out of the way. That I find that I perfected that pretty well. It took me a while to master that talent, but I think I'm there. Teddy, I'm
proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress, but I feel good about it.
Yeah. All right, Melissa, here's another big thing. Appetizers. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's all kinds of appetizers you can have. I mean, you can have, spinach dip, you can have crab dip, you can have, my favorite that I'm a master at cooking up is, what's it called? Dogs in a roll or pigs in a roll, and then there's, pigs in a barbecue sauce. What are your thoughts about appetizers?
Yeah, so appetizers for Thanksgiving specifically, I think, it depends on when your big meal time is going to be and how early are you inviting people over. If you're inviting people over an hour before we're all going to sit down and have your Thanksgiving feast, I say go light on the appetizers and go easy on yourself. Don't be so elaborate, maybe a baked brie or a little cheese board, some nuts, veggies, whatever. If you're inviting people over 3 hours before and there's going to be parade watching and football and maybe an outside football game or whatever, then
dog show.
Dog show, yes.
Dog show.
And make sure there's treats for the dogs so they stay out of the kitchen. Then I think you could go a little heavier on the appetizers. And I would also say ask people to bring those, contribute an appetizer so that your focus is just on the main meal. But I think, with how much emphasis and how many side dishes and like things have, it sort of used to be like turkey, potatoes, stuffing, and maybe a veg. But like now I see there's so many side dishes and people have, a special mac and cheese that's always for Thanksgiving, or maybe you're Italian and there's a lasagna involved. Like it's a lot of food. So you want people to be hungry for that. So I'd say, go light on the appetizers if you're really wanting people to come hungry.
Yeah, I'm with you. And my expandable pants only expand so much.
True story.
We need to get you a new wardrobe for Christmas, Teddy. Maybe we'll bump that up to the next size, expandable pants.
Hopefully,
you and me both, because we like to eat.
But it's not in the budget, man. So we need to be careful. So,
okay.
All right. So, Melissa, another big thing about holiday dinners is traditions. Aunt Betty always brings the same, string bean casserole with walnuts in it and covered with, pepper jack cheese.
Mm-hmm.
We always cook the turkey this way because that's what grandma wants. What are your thoughts about traditions and traditional, cooking for an event?
Yeah. So, I know that there's definitely a lot of like emotional tie to the traditions around holiday foods for a lot of families. So I think that's great. And I think that, some people that's what they come to expect. Every time we're going to go to Thanksgiving, we're having grandma's stuffing, and that's the way it is and the way it's always going to be. And now I feel like, especially with the addition of things like people have Friendsgivings, they have work Thanksgiving parties beforehand. There are like almost other opportunities around this holiday to like do some experimenting. If your particular family is like, no, we do it the same way every time. Don't try to deep fry my turkey. Don't try to, bring pomegranate seeds to the stuffing or whatever it may be. So I think that you can kind of both like honor the tradition and have some like leeway to try new things around the holiday as well.
Yeah. I got a question that came in the in the chat area, and I want to kind of take it and make it a little broader. The question dealt with gluten-free, and when we hear the word gluten-free, I think I'm going to eat cardboard, right? And so, how do we make gluten-free sexy? But the bigger question, really, for me is: you've got a guy like me. I can't take onions and peppers, and Teddy doesn't like this, and so is a vegan, or so and so can you have gluten? And so how do you kind of herd all these cats together when you've got all these different food allergies or preferences? And how do you kind of keep the peace in the family, so to speak, when you're trying to marry all these things together?
Okay, well, so I'm going to address the gluten question first.
Yeah.
I think that the best way to prove to someone that gluten-free is not gross or bland or boring is show up with something that's gluten-free that is really tasty, and don't tell anybody it's gluten-free. Because just serve it. I've had fantastic gluten-free cakes, pizzas, all these things that I would have never known, even as a chef, that it was, gluten-free. Sometimes the label is what really like puts people on guard for like, oh, this is going to be gross. So I think, and I also think it's kind of a fun trick to play. You're like, oh, you just really enjoyed that? Well, guess what? It was gluten-free. So,
no.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore. It's like kind of have to toddlerize people, just get them to try one bite and they might just like it.
Open wide. Yeah. All right. So gluten-free, but then again, we've got a myriad of other things that not everybody likes pizza and, hamburgers like I do. So how do you deal with that?
If you're invited to a Thanksgiving dinner, I think you show up and you graciously eat what you can and what you like, and you don't complain. I think that if you have a really strict dietary need, like let's say you're allergic to nuts, like you got to let somebody know, because maybe you can't even walk into that house because, someone ate a peanut butter sandwich that morning. If you're vegan, that's a really difficult one for Thanksgiving or showing up to a traditional Thanksgiving. And I think in that case, you need to plan to bring stuff for yourself that's going to, sustain you and make you feel like you can still be a part of the celebration without necessarily asking the host to prepare, a tofurkey or whatever it may be to meet your needs. And so, yeah, I think, and again, with the like plethora of sides that seems to have like exploded with Thanksgiving traditions, there's usually enough of everything that someone can at least find something to eat and be happy with. And I think if you think that you can't, then you show up with your own food. Like respectfully, not to, piss off the host or anything.
Well, and that was the next thing is, you don't like what I served you, and even if they don't say that, I could see where the host might take offense and I've had that, if I see onions floating around in something, I'm going, and I just go like, I can't do it. And it's because I know I can't do it. And my intent isn't to, alienate somebody, but it's just really to protect myself.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. And I think you can give the host a heads up in advance, but I think no one should have to sit and eat food that they really don't like or can't tolerate. But I think there's a way to politely pass on it. And if they ask, oh, sorry, I just don't like onions, but it looks delicious. There's ways to soften that.
Randy, I'm the same way, Melissa. When my son-in-law is used to this, that they know that I absolutely will become, physically violent within myself if I have to drink, Budweiser or Mick Ultra or Bud Light or one of those. So I bring my own growler of IPA, and they're good with that.
Yeah.
Bring your own beer to Thanksgiving, Teddy. That's awesome.
Well, if I want an IPA and no one else drinks it, I bring it, and I always bring an extra 12 ounces for anybody else who wants to drink.
I was going to say, I think as long as you bring a little extra to share, then that's great.
Yeah, tasting cups. I offer them tasting cups.
Perfect.
I see Dale's chat in here about his first years as a firefighter, responding to the folks who tried to deep fry a turkey the first time. I've seen those videos, and I've actually deep fried turkeys before. And I think I told Melissa about this. The first time my son-in-law, who is the cook in the family, the first time we deep fried a turkey outside of the home at the Outer Banks, he forgot to bring peanut oil, because you deep fry turkeys in peanut oil. And I don't know how you get oil out of peanut, but anyway, that's another conversation. So you got 50-50, half vegetable oil, half peanut oil. And if you use vegetable oil to deep fry a turkey, you turn the skin and the outer part completely black. And my mother-in-law, when we carried the turkey upstairs and brought it into the kitchen, she says, "Oh my God, I have never seen a black turkey."
Burned it.
It was just the outside skin.
It looked like it was burned. Yeah.
It was fabulous eating. So, but we did it safely, Dale. We know to do it safely. One person is managing the fire while the other people are drinking the beer, and we rotate where appropriately.
Perfect.
I get this, you got to accommodate a lot of different people and a lot of different taste, and you just got to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
So here's another thought. We'll do the bottom of the hour here in a few minutes. Accommodate everyone's important, but I tell you, it's also important. Well, maybe it's important. We talked about this, Melissa. There are some people who absolutely thrive on being in complete control of the kitchen. How do you manage that when you show up to a Thanksgiving event or a holiday event and you want to be a part of it, but you're not given that opportunity? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, I'm kind of one of those people. I can delegate things that are outside the kitchen, but I really don't want anyone in my space if I'm in charge of the food.
Make a note of that, Randy.
Yeah. And so I think if I had someone who, especially also, maybe I'd want to know in advance, hey, I really want to help, I want to contribute to food. It would be that okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to do it in advance and bring it ready to go. That would be my kind of way around that. Or I will always take help with doing dishes. So if someone just wants to be in the kitchen with me because they want to feel like they're a part of it, then the sink is always open and there's always dishes in it. So I think that can still like make you feel like, you're cooking and you're having the conversation and it's fun. And, but it's sort of like, don't get in my way of.
So you don't want me to touch your blender, huh?
No, I do not.
I got to ask you. So I think you mentioned your husband's job is, keep the dog out of the kitchen, do the trash and dishes. So I was going to ask you, who does in your everyday, not in your professional life, but in your everyday family existence, who does your grocery shopping? Who does the cooking? Or I guess you do it. And who does the cleanup?
Yeah, so I definitely do the grocery shopping. I love grocery shopping. It's actually one of the things that I've enjoyed about moving here. I love experiencing grocery stores in new places. So I like to check out every store in the area. That's it's almost like a tourist thing for me. I like to do it on vacation too. So grocery shopping is not like a burdensome chore for me, although I do also use Instacart for things that maybe is just, paper towels or whatever I need from Costco or something. And day to day, I do all the food prep and stuff for our family, which also means that we eat frozen pizza sometimes. I'm not making every single meal from scratch. I love great homemade prepared food, but I also don't necessarily have the energy for that every day, much like most people. And I struggle with the same question of what's for dinner tonight. And also, the bonus of doing what I do. And when I cook from home for people and deliver meals, I make extra for us. And then dinner is done, sort of wrapped into my work day, and we just heat it up later. And yes, my husband is still responsible for those dishes.
And you can also, if you have an idea for food, you can try it out on your family first.
Yeah.
See if nobody dies, right? And then you can take it out of the house. And now you've got a new product you can offer.
Yes.
So that's a good thing too. Your family is kind of like the test, the test case and that stuff. I got a quick another Teddy. We've got a break coming up here. If you want to do it,
go ahead.
Here's a question for you. I'm a word guy, and I worked in radio, and my mom was an English teacher, and so I was brought up with speaking and writing, and diction was in our accent was minimal, even though we lived in Rhode Island. And so I find myself listening to people and trying to say, where are they from? And so I've got to ask you, you're all about cooking and food, and you're a foodie. When you go out to eat, are you kind of looking at that food going, they forgot to do this, or boy, that should have had more seasoning in it, or what? Or do you just go, what, I'm glad to get out of the house and have somebody else cook this stuff and not have to mess with it? How do you see that when you go out?
Yeah, I think when I go out to a fancy restaurant that is, known for its food, maybe they're particularly innovative or they're just, highly rated, I might in my head be probably first and foremost, if the food is good, I'm complimenting it in my head, or maybe I'm telling the people I'm eating with ooh, that's so cool that they did this with that and they made a pickle out of that or whatever. I'd say maybe I'm almost a little bit more critical of those fancy restaurants because I want to know what they earned their reputation for. But I also, because I'm in the industry, it is incredibly rare that I will ever complain or send something back, because I know what it's like to be in a kitchen and to be busy, and unless it's truly inedible or something is really wrong with it, I'm gonna eat it and be happy about it. And yeah, versus if I'm going out to Chipotle with the family, I'm just happy to not be cooking dinner and I enjoy my burrito bowl and move about my day.
Yeah, I get a little critical at McDonald's when my triple-decker hamburger is not perfectly lined up in the wrapper.
And it doesn't look like it does on the commercials. They're gorgeous, whatever. But and then anyway, I digress. Teddy, we're halfway through the show. Wow, time flies.
Hey, thanks for being on the show of Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy. For those who don't know, I'm Teddy, and the dude drinking the water is my good friend Randy. Our special guest today is Melissa Winstead. Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy is sponsored in part by the Elder Law Firm out of Greensboro, North Carolina. who's important to you and how you plan to honor your responsibilities to them is important to the elder law firm. So if you have family or friends who are working on estate planning or elder care planning, or don't have those 7 documents all put together in a nice clean file and a fireproof safe so that they're protected, you need to reach out to the elder law firm in Greensboro, North Carolina. Their phone number is 336-396-4551. And when you call them, tell them that Teddy reminded you that at Thanksgiving, you have to share the apple pie. I've been telling people that line, Randy, all week long. Every email that went out, every text message that went out to people, every LinkedIn message, every message on Tinder, at the bottom of the message, I said, remember to share the apple pie. No one has responded back to me in any shape or form. I was hoping someone would go, but that's the conversation.
No. Hey, by the way, Melissa, I know you're a chef. I mean, I don't see a nice lunch sitting here. Did Teddy grab my lunch by mistake? Did you fix Teddy? Are you eating 2 lunches today? I don't see it over
Randy, we're not talking about that today.
Today,
Maryland is out of my delivery zone.
That's touche. Good point. I'll go look outside again. Maybe I have yours, Teddy. All right, let's dive back into this thing. Yeah, what you got, man?
Lisa, hang on. We're going to talk about leftovers in a minute.
We are.
Great question. So, all right, Melissa. So you're doing your Thanksgiving dinner. It's your home. It's your event. Who's invited to the table? And who gets to sit at the children's table?
Well, I tend to think of the children's table not so much as biological age, but emotional age. So anyone who's in the 2 to 10-year-old emotional age range, you get to be at the kids' table. You get crayons. Maybe you get to make a turkey handprint, something fun like that. And everyone else. But honestly, I think I like the idea of a big long table for everybody. Everyone's at the same table if you can. If you can't, of course, just in the same room. But yeah, I'm one of 5 kids, so I've got many siblings, and they've got partners. I'm the only one with a little one, so she gets all the attention at all the holidays thus far. But I think, and I'm also a big fan of buffet style away from the table, except for rolls and butter can be on the table. I think it's better when the food is sort of a little bit separate, so you're not handing things over people and knocking over wine glasses and all that, and that way everyone can just get up and go help themselves to more.
Good.
Yeah. And we're a big fan in our family of making the event, in such a way that it's as fun and conversational as it can be. And we don't have a tradition of ever going around the room and saying, what do you think before? We try that. We have 4 daughters. We tried that early on, and it was always seemed too scripted to be really meaningful in any way. But to try to make it conversational and poke the older generation and the younger generation to get them to engage. That for us is what Thanksgiving is all about, or even Christmas or Easter or my birthday, which is July 9th. I like large, expensive, returnable for cash gifts. Any event like that. Yeah. Because
keep wishing there, Teddy. Keep plugging it. Keep plugging it. Somebody will bite at some point.
Somebody will. Yeah. My credo is this: no matter where you are and what you do, it's all about the conversation. And when you can get to participate, it's much richer.
This whole thing about leftovers, and my dad, he was a big leftover guy. I mean, that's what he took to work all the time, was leftover from the night before meal. And so I was brought up liking leftovers and not looking down on them. But at a big meal like Thanksgiving, there are going to be leftovers. So how quickly after the meal do you put them away? Yeah.
Let's ask our audience. Yeah. Let's ask the audience. You guys have got to participate. You're out there. You're listening to the conversation. So we want you to engage. What do you do with your leftovers?
Mm-hmm.
Drop that in the chat. And but let's answer Lisa's question, Melissa, which is a tough question to answer.
Yeah.
When do you start putting them away?
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say is as everyone seems like they're slowing down eating, well, first of all, what you should have on hand in advance are disposable containers, like those little restaurant to-go boxes. You can order them on Amazon. Highly recommend having those in your house so that no one has to be like wrapping plates with foil or plastic. It's just easy. You can pop them in the container. And I'd say after everyone has eaten and it feels like, okay, everyone's done, you bust out those containers, everybody build your leftover box. And they get to take their leftovers, put them aside. At that point, put them in the fridge. For sure, in general, as soon as everyone's done with the food, the quicker you can get it put in the fridge, the better. That just means it'll last longer as leftovers. But I think Thanksgiving leftovers offer so many opportunities for different delicious meals in the days that follow. I mean, a turkey pot pie is a great choice. Buy a, pie crust from the store. Turkey pot pie filling comes together real easy. One that I saw recently that I plan to do this year is to make like turkey Thanksgiving leftovers hot pockets. So or almost like they look like a Pop-Tart. So you buy some puff pastry, you cut it in your rectangles, fill it with a couple strips of turkey, a little bit of stuffing, little cranberry, all the stuff that you like. Seal it up with another piece of pastry, bake those off. Those can be kept in the fridge, the freezer, whatever. They last long. And then of course the classic sandwich fixings for leftovers. Yeah.
You keep talking about turkey, but you've never once said anything about a country ham.
Well, that's true. I haven't. I guess
those are nasty, Teddy.
Oh my golly, man! Let me turn you off, Randy. Get off.
The saltiest thing known to mankind is country ham. I'm assuming you're talking about. I mean, they're so salty.
That was a real interesting thing for me to experience for the first time. Country ham. I catered a Kentucky Derby party back in California, but family was from I think Louisiana or somewhere originally, and they were like, we need to have country ham. So I ordered it from somewhere special that they wanted it from, and I got it and I was like, I have no idea what to do with this. And it took some it's definitely I get it. It's a thing here, it's appreciated. And we were more of the honey baked ham growing up family, the spiral cut, that whole thing. So that's true. I didn't mention ham.
My family loves country ham. And Randy, you soak it overnight the night before.
In salt water?
No, it makes its own salt water, dude. You soak it overnight, and it takes and kills some of the saltiness. But if you can cook that thing at a low temperature for the longest time possible, it falls apart.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you can have my share of that, Teddy. There are certain foods that just, I don't know if you try them once and you just say never again, or I don't know about you guys. When I was a kid, I had to try everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And
I think you and I chatted about mincemeat pie.
I'm going to share that at the end of this thing. I've got a little story about mincemeat that,
when the leftover world, Melissa, my challenge is I want the ham. I want the breast meat from the turkey. I don't care about the mashed potatoes and gravy and the green bean salad, and I don't care about I just want that ham and the breast meat of the turkey. But somebody always is fighting me for it. So I gotta learn to share. So what else? What other ideas do you have? Any other ideas about leftovers, or are you good?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think those are kind of my main leftover go-to. And also, I think if you know that as a family or all your guests that they love leftovers and want to take them, then you got to plan for that. You got to buy the bigger turkey or the bigger ham and prepare extras because, sort of got to know what people expect to walk away with. And if they're expecting to walk away with dinner for the next day and lunch the day after that, then you got to cook a lot more.
Hey, so Lisa, drop your address in the chat and we'll all send our giblets to you.
Oh, turkey chili. That's a good one with leftover turkey also.
Yeah. Venison chili is good too. So good stuff. And let's see, I got some comments on the leftovers. Let's see. Wine, Dale says there's never any wine leftovers. Dale also wants to put a sign out, if he hasn't already, on the front of his door. Says everybody's welcome, but you got to keep the political and religious conversations away, because we're not going to get into those conversations. Dale says, my brothers hate the turkey. I only have ham and pasta in his Italian family. He thinks his brothers are commies. So you need to talk to your mom and dad about that, big boy. Scott says it's all good with hard sauce. What's hard sauce, Melissa?
Hard salts? Is that what it is?
Sauce.
I think he may be a typo there.
Oh, I don't know. Or maybe he's talking
sausage
about
or
liquor or something. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That whole politics and religion thing, I don't want to get too deep into that stuff, but I mean, that's one way to ruin an event. I don't care what event it is, but it seems like when you get family together, that tends to come up. I know it's happened in the past, and it's awkward to say the least, but
you know what I do in that regard?
What do you do that? What do you do, Teddy?
I say, I pray for you. Let's move on to another conversation.
There you go. Shut up over there. All right.
So, all right. All right, Melissa, you and I chatted about this, and it sounds like it makes all the sense in the world. And you alluded to it just now when we're chatting. Well, in some respects. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and call you out publicly. Just calling you out publicly. You ain't all about no margarine, is you?
I'm not. I'm a butter purist.
Yeah.
Salted butter.
Salted butter. And if I'm going to be a little extra bougie, grass-fed salted butter. The butter should be like a nice yellow color, and it should be salted and room temperature for the Thanksgiving table, and honestly for anything else mostly.
Yeah.
So butter doesn't go bad if you leave it out?
No, not
typically, like for days and days, or you just
typically for days, especially if it's covered, it can last quite a while.
Okay. It's easy to spread when it's room temperature. I know that.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Or you can just
that will be one thing that I critique. If I go to a restaurant and they serve warm bread with ice cold butter, I'm like, why do you hate me? This doesn't make any sense.
Do you run out the door screaming, oh my God, they hate me?
No, I just internally I have to wait for the butter to warm up, and it's not
so talk about the bread part. I mean, should I bring my Wonder Bread to a Thanksgiving dinner, or should I bring some really cool rolls? And what kind of rolls do you recommend?
Cool. I mean, I love a classic Parker roll. I think those are delicious, the golden brown top. But I think those pull apart or biscuits, I think are great. I mean, I've experienced some great biscuits here. So, I know each family kind of has their own bread preference, and maybe Wonder Bread is on the menu. Yeah.
Or 7 grain. I'm a 7 grain dude. Actually, I'm a Dave's Killer Bread dude.
Me too. Love that.
I wish I was. I wish that in my mind I had a whole lot more money to buy way more Dave's Killer Bread. His bagels. Oh my gosh, they're great. There's a whole story, by the way. Have you heard the story of Dave's Killer Bread?
No,
I don't think so.
Google it. Do a Google search, folks, on Dave's Killer Bread, and look at the story behind Dave. I can't remember his last name. The dude was in prison. And it's a really cool story about how he turned that into a really fantastic business. I think he sold it off to one of the big boys now. So,
hey, there's a question in the chat about cooking a turkey in the microwave.
That's sacrilegious, Lisa.
That must be a big microwave. But I mean, I had a client some years ago who was a chef, and he talked, and I don't remember all the detail, but the microwave versus regular, like cooking in an oven or something, microwaves go from the inside out or something, and the others go from the outside in, and they seal the stuff in. So he when I mentioned I'm a whiz at the microwave, he looked at me like, yeah. So so I gather by your expression that maybe microwave is not the way to go for cooking a turkey.
Well, I can't quite fathom how you'd fit a whole turkey, even a small one, in the microwave. I don't think you're going to get a nice texture. You're certainly not going to get a crispy skin. I think if you've bought a pre-made, a pre-roasted turkey breast, or the turkey is already cooked and you're just warming it up, then microwave can help you with that. But I wouldn't do start to finish.
Air fryers, anything good, bad, air fryers?
Yeah. I mean, I like an air fryer, but again, I can't imagine a turkey fitting in any like home brand of air fryer.
Push it down. It'll get in there.
I think air fryers would be great for heating up leftovers. And or making the Brussels sprouts extra crispy or something like that. But yeah, I would put the turkey in the air fryer.
And I'm with Scott. I as much as I love good bread, you got to be careful eating too many rolls at Thanksgiving dinner, because
true.
I don't need to tell you. I've already said I got my expandable pants. So
plus they fill you up. I mean, you can have bread any day of the week, but to get a little sample of all those different foods, and why fill up on bread?
You can fill up on country ham, Randy.
Yeah, I get it. Bread is not necessarily a must have, but I actually like to have a roll because I kind of like to put all of my little Thanksgiving bites like with a bite of bread. It's almost like I'm making my leftover sandwich as I sit there eating the dinner. So
good stuff. So, all right, one more question. Tell me a little bit more about why should people know a personal chef?
Well, because life is busy and most families are 2-parent working households and have, whether you're just busy professionals or you've got a house full of kids, like the sort of bottom line is everybody needs to eat. And I feel like, especially people wanting to eat healthier, not eating takeout constantly, or maybe you have a special diet that you really can't do takeout on a regular basis and feel safe eating that. That's why you want to know a personal chef. I feel like I come to take the stress of what's for dinner off your plate. I put delicious food on the plate, easy to reheat. And then especially if you're having a party and maybe you don't like being in the kitchen, you don't like cooking, you don't know how, don't want to. There are plenty of people who just aren't interested in, but again, everybody's got to eat. And so, I like to come in and provide that experience for everyone. And more often than not, the host of a party will be like, even though I really love to cook, this was so amazing having you here because I got to be a part of the party. I got to enjoy my own party and not be stuck in the kitchen the whole time or stressed about the timing of everything. So I'm really looking to sort of give people back more quality time in their life by taking the cooking part off.
I kind of wonder, and you don't need to go into detail about specific clients and that, but I'm wondering if you typically, or the kind of work that you do you find typically that there may be a family or 2 or 3 that you exclusively tend to work with, or do you how does all because in my first thought is, ooh, that'll be expensive, or ooh, do I have to commit to a meal plan of X number of meals a week, or how do you allay people's concerns about that and try to work out a schedule that makes sense for everybody?
Yeah. So, I mean, for sure, I'm a 1-woman show. If I do a bigger event, I will hire staff, but as a weekly cooking thing, I can only take on so many clients. So I only have a certain number of spots available. And also because I am not in the business of making mass quantities of food. That's never been my passion. I don't want to make 100, roast chicken dinners. I want to make a max of 20 to 25 because I want to really be able to control the quality of that and have people feel like they didn't just get takeout. Because the second point is, it's going to cost more than takeout. Having a chef prepare meals that are tailored for you, that are specific to your needs, your family's wants, desires, it's going to cost more. But also, I find the amount of food that people waste either on takeout or they've decided, I'm going to buy all these groceries because I'm going to do all this cooking this week. And then life happens. And at the end of the week, you're throwing away hundreds of dollars of foods over the course of the month that I feel like in the long run, it's still going to save you some money because you're actually going to be eating the food that's right there, ready to go, made for you. And so that's sort of something that I feel like is a kind of education piece to this. And there is a difference. I used to be a private chef, which was where I was working full-time for one family. I was their chef. It was a full-time job. I didn't have time for other clients. And that's not something that's really done here. I was working in Silicon Valley, lots of tech money, that whole thing. It's far more popular in the San Francisco Bay Area. But being a personal chef means that you do take on several clients a week. And I do have certain minimums that I require because I can't just be dropping off one dinner for one person that day. The time that goes into making one meal for one person is roughly the same amount of time that it would take me to make 6 portions of that meal. So I have minimums and stuff, but I try to make it reasonable for people and eat them.
Teddy, do we have time for that question from Lisa?
If you want to.
So COVID changed how we engage, whether you mentioned takeout, for example. I mean, takeoff has taken off. Or takeout has taken off. Anyway, so how did COVID impact your business? Did you have to change how you do it and such, or walk us through that briefly? Yeah.
Definitely during COVID, I had to pivot a lot because I used to do regular dinner parties for some people. Maybe they would have corporate parties or whatnot, dinner parties with their friends. That all transferred to me cooking from home and dropping it off. Because a couple months into COVID, people got tired of takeout from their same restaurants or same places, and they wanted to also feed themselves more healthy, nourishing food to hopefully prevent getting sick from things. So my business pivoted a lot during that time. I was also pregnant during COVID, so it kind of worked in my favor to not be out and catering large events and on my feet to that extent and lugging all my equipment around. It actually worked out nicely. I was able to transfer all my cooking from home and then just delivered and dropped off.
Good deal.
So if we got nothing else from this conversation today, Melissa, tell our audience 2 things that they need to remember.
For Thanksgiving?
Or any event, but we go with Thanksgiving.
I would say the 2 takeaways are that it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. It's also it's okay to say no to something, no to the political conversation, no to someone coming to the kitchen and cooking with you. No is a complete sentence. And knowing that to preserve sort of what you need for that day while also making sure everyone has a good time, I think is really important.
Good stuff. Good. Melissa, thank you very much. I love the conversation. I'm all about salted butter. I'm all about salted butter on the table with a roll or 2. And now I know Randy doesn't like country ham. I'm not going to send him one. So thank you very much for joining us, Melissa. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Melissa. Hang on there. Teddy, I have a story for you.
Okay, go for it.
And actually, I think was it Dale or I forget now. It was back maybe Scott in the chat. Talk about mincemeat pie. So
Scott said that hard sauce.
Yeah. So here's what's up. Right. I'm divorced now, but I got married in 85 and I had met my wife to be in the summer of 83. And so Thanksgiving of 83 was the first time that the entire family got together. So not just her parents, but all the in-laws and everybody all under one roof. And I grew up with mincemeat pie in Rhode Island that came in a jar, and it was raisins and apples, and it was kind of soft and gooey and a lot of sweet, brown, sugary kind of stuff. Right? That's what my mincemeat was, I thought, until we show up at the house. And I got the big spread, and everybody's sitting around, and my I guess it would be my mother-in-law's sister said, "Oh, I made mincemeat pie. Would you like a piece?" And being the cordial, social kind of dude that I am, yeah, sure. So I get this piece of pie on my plate, and it's like fruit cocktail with stringy meat in it.
You didn't ask what kind of meat it was, did you?
I didn't dare ask what kind of meat that was. Now, and again, the great people. I mean, there are different cultures and different things mean different things to different people in different parts of the country. But we're right on the border of West Virginia, Ohio. A lot of rural hunting and a lot of that goes on. So I gather that meat didn't come out of Food Lion, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I took a couple bites of that thing. And then, wash it down real quick. And, but I'll always remember that, it's one of those things that you try to be cordial but what the heck am I eating here? I have no idea. To this day, I never did ask what that meat was. I don't think I want to know, Teddy.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
It was, yeah, it was a little strong. I mean, I'll just say it had a bite to it.
That sounds worse than Aunt Maybell's, famous string shredded green bean casserole with walnuts on it.
Yeah, well, that was an eye-opening experience because again, I had never heard of it. So anyway, so you live and learn.
Yeah.
But I did, Teddy. I bought a jar of minced meat. Oh, and 3 years ago, and I just sat there with a big old spoon and just reminded me of being a kid again. So I may go do that, Teddy.
Scott, he's going to do it again, Scott. So here's my quick story, and then we'll tell you about our guest coming up next week. My story is this. Melissa, you don't know this. Randy knows, and I think some of our folks in the audience may know this, but I am number 2 of 15 kids.
Yep.
And we had a huge table, and on both ends of the table were 2 chairs, and then on the sides were benches. And that table was actually, my dad made that table out of 4x8 sheets of plywood. I mean, it's this huge table, and we lived in the middle of a 1,100-acre farm. And I will tell you that, I mean, we never wanted for anything. My mom and dad did well to make sure we never wanted for anything that was important. I mean, I wanted the Red Ryder shotgun and et cetera, et cetera. But when it came to food and clothing and taking care of us, we didn't want it for anything. But one of the things that I will never forget is my mom made rolls. And Melissa, she pinched here and a pinch there and a dash here and a dash there. And she rolling pinned it and let it rise and rolled it over and over again. But when she made these rolls, she would, take a hunk of this dough, peel off a ball, roll it up, drop it on a pan. And it is the best rolls I've ever eaten. And we were fortunate that we had a little bit of honey. So we had salted butter. I'm sure it was not margarine, and a little bit of honey. And I'm telling you what, I could have been my Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter dinner, just the rolls by itself. It was, I mean, that's a memory that will never disappear. One other piece about the way my mom made this bread, the rolls of the bread, I don't know how she did it, but she would cook the bread in a Maxwell House coffee can.
What?
I have no idea how she did it. I'm thinking today about how they, the outside of the can was painted. The inside of the can wasn't painted. And but she would cook the bread in a Maxwell House coffee, and she'd had 3 or 4 of them in there. And when she would pull them out, the bread would shrink just enough where it would fall right out of the can. And that was good bread. So, hey, Randy, buddy, thanks for great to have you, man. I'm grateful for you being a part of the show and helping me putting this thing together and making it successful for our audience. Melissa, I'm grateful for you and all of our special guests showing up.
Yeah.
Our 8,000 people in the audience, I'm grateful for all of you who show up and hang out with us. Next week, the conversation will be John Louder. John works for, or is the executive director of, let me see if I say this right, the Triad Area real estate group. And I'm not saying the name exactly right, but John will come talk with us next week about what's going on in the housing market, single family homes, multifamily homes, and what is going on in this industry and what should we expect over the next few years. So Melissa, great to see you. Thanks for being on here.
Thanks, Melissa.
Having me.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, I will see you another day. And to our audience, again, thank you all. The show is sponsored in part by the Elder Law Firm out of Greensboro, North Carolina. We're grateful for them being a sponsor with us through 2022. So see you all another day. Have a great holiday.
Be safe. Take care. Thank you now.